Let's talk about some of the common workout advice that may actually be hurting you. And I welcome your thoughts and insights down in the comment section below. So, the first piece of common workout advice that I've been hearing a lot of in recent years is that if you want to maximize your muscle gains, you should focus most of your attention on performing exercises that keep your body in a stable position. The idea is that you'll require less assistance from your supporting muscle groups. There's going to be less limiting factors involved in the strength of your lifts. You're going to be able to actually lift more and focus more of your attention on the target muscle. An example of this would be the barbell row. A limiting factor could be your lower back. If you have a weaker lower back, you're not going to be able to lift as heavy, so you're not going to be able to place as much demand on your upper back muscle. So you may be better off performing a chest supported T-bar row, for example. So now your lower back is no longer involved in that movement. You can lift heavier and focus more of attention on the upper back. You may even want to use straps if your grip strength is a limiting factor. Again, allowing you to lift heavier to place more tension on the target muscles there and get more out of that movement. Now, this is logical. It makes sense. It's absolutely true. And it's something you'd want to focus on if your goal is purely aesthetics, purely trying to maximize your muscle gains. We'll get back to how this may be hurting you in a moment, but the second piece of advice that I find is very common out there, especially there's this one very popular workout channel out there where they're discouraging you from performing exercises that are focused on just the stabilizer muscles or even smaller muscle groups such as the forearms. Like, don't waste your time doing like wrist curls and wrist extensions. Those muscle groups are going to get stimulated enough from doing like rowing exercises and curls and all that stuff. So your time is better off focusing on exercises that are going to put more demand on the larger muscle groups and the muscle groups that go, I guess, the show muscle groups. And once again, logical if your goal is purely aesthetics, purely trying to maximize your show muscles, the gains of your show muscles there. Now, going back to the stabilizer exercises there and how this is hurting you. So yes, you're going to be able to lift more weight. And yes, you may be able to squeeze out just the teeniest and tiniest of extra muscle gains for your upper back muscles, if you perform a chest supported row, than if you're just to do a barbell row. But is it worth it? Are those extra teeny tiny little bit of extra muscle gains worth it, knowing that by eliminating the stabilizer muscles there, by creating a more stable environment, you're creating some weak links in your posterior chain. So yes, you can incorporate some more exercises in your training to work on the posterior chain and maybe strengthen your lower back, but why not reduce the weight just a little bit and work the entire posterior chain as a whole as you're building your back muscles? You're not sacrificing much muscle gain in the process, and you're training your body in a way that can be more practical for everyday living. We're not going through our day in a braced position with everything. So why not train our body in a way that's going to be, I guess, somewhat more functional? So you could consider a barbell row more functional than a chest supported row if function is kind of moving your best freely throughout the day and really kind of training your body as a whole, as compared to like the function of building your back muscles to the best of your ability there. So there's a functional training is such a contradictory term there. But again, I think a lot of people understand, like, when it comes to functional training, it's more practical into your everyday life experiences there. So working it as a whole with a barbell row, in my opinion, I think would be much better. Now, in regards to the advice from this, one of the most popular workout channels out there, saying that you shouldn't waste your time with some of these exercises, whether it's wrist extensions and wrist curls. And this is another one, like when you're going back to the barbell row, yes, you could use wrist straps so you can lift heavier weight and you're going to strengthen your back more, your upper back more, you maybe build your upper back a little bit more, increasing the teeniest, tiniest of muscle gains, but you're also sacrificing the potential for improving upon your grip strength if you reduce the weight a little bit and work your forearms at the same time. And grip strength has been shown to be a valuable indicator when it comes to your longevity. So you're sacrificing potential when it comes to your longevity just for the sake of squeezing out the teeniest and tiniest of muscle gains there. So again, is it worth it? So again, do you want to eliminate the wrist curls and the wrist extensions from your programming for the sake of trying to incorporate more back exercises in there that are going to target your back muscles or whatever else would be involved in that movement, where you would be kind of training the forearms in there? Is it worth it to neglect those when you could be improving your grip strength, which is shown to be helpful in longevity overall? And here's the thing, like with this channel in particular their programming has their clients in the gym working out for an hour and a half to 2 hours, 5 to 6 days per week. So they are overkill, in my opinion. When the research shows that 60% of your gains is going to come from 4 sets per muscle group per week, you're going to experience most of your gains from, say, 6 to 10 sets per muscle group per week. Yes, doing more sets may allow you to squeeze out like the teeniest of tiniest of extra muscle gains. Is it worth it to try to get that teeny tiniest little bit of muscle gains, spend your time in the gym that much longer on exercises that you may give you more gains from some of the bigger muscle groups, but you can use that time more wisely and focus on your body as a whole? Why not use that time to focus on some of your stabilizer muscles, some of these smaller muscle groups that could have an impact on your overall function, your overall health, your overall well-being, strength in all aspects of your life here? Now, for myself personally, suffered a second-degree shoulder separation 3 weeks ago. A lot of learning lessons from this. Really, more than ever, am I of the opinion that we should be focusing more of our attention on mobility and stability of our joints, flexibility of our body, just moving more freely. And the ironic thing is, like 2 months ago, I was getting ready to create a video series here on mobility and flexibility, prioritizing it. One was going to be a 30-day shoulder health and 30 days of kind of improving my lower body flexibility and mobility. And at the time, my dog Chief was dealing with some stomach issues. So he was waking me up like almost a dozen times a night. So my sleep was to go outside and go to the bathroom there. So my sleep sucked. So whenever it came time to focus on my mobility, my flexibility, the stability of my joints, especially the scapula was a big thing. I noticed at the time my traps were really tight, my scapula wasn't as mobile as it could be, my pec was really tight, my serratus anterior was really tight, and I noticed some of my bicep tendons in here, I was experiencing not a twinge per se, but I knew something was up. So that's why I wanted to, all right, it's time for me to prioritize mobility and flexibility. Why not record a series on this? But each time I went to go do mobility and flexibility exercises here, stability exercises for my shoulders, I was just exhausted. And so I just getting by doing my weight training sessions, yoga sessions, and trying to get in some jogging as well. I didn't have time when it came to mobility and flexibility. I was putting it on the back burner. I was just exhausted. So I kept saying, all right, I'm going to put it off. And then next thing you know, I separate my shoulder playing hockey. I got tripped, slid into the boards hard. And from what I understand, if your shoulder blade is a little bit more mobile, it's able to slide around a little bit easier, it has more give. It'd be better at absorbing the shock from hitting that board. So there's a chance I may not have separated my shoulder if I had prioritized the mobility and the stability of my joint. Because there's some people who are like hyper mobile, hyper flexible, and they run into similar issues when their joint isn't stable. So you want to find that balance between mobility and flexibility. So I just find a lot of the common advice out there when it comes to working out is this hyper focus on maximizing our muscle gains, doing everything to optimize our training in a way to build the most muscle possible, and at the same time neglecting the things that really are way more important to us than eking out just a teeny tiniest little bit of muscle gains. If you can use that time, a little bit extra time towards mobility and flexibility and the stability of those joints, I think you're going to be so much better off in the long term. These are my humble opinions. I guess you could say it's all different. I mean, to each their own. If you want to try to be Mr. Olympia and you want to eke out those little bit of gains there, all the power to you. I mean, that's where I was even 15 years ago. That's where my logic was when it came to functional training and some of this mobility stuff. I'm like, I don't got time for that. I just want to spend time in the gym. This is my love. This is my passion. Now I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass. But again, it all happens for a reason. I went through that experience, learning lessons to now appreciate the benefit of taking a more holistic and balanced approach to weight training, to working out, and really focusing on living my best life possible. So I welcome your thoughts and opinions on all of this, the common advice that you're hearing. If you agree, disagree, what are your thoughts? Please take a moment to drop them down in the comment section below.